Well, we're back again with yet another No Fluff analysis, and this time we'll be talking about the new Gala Dragalia Summon Showcase running from the 29th of August until the 3rd of September UTC. Let's start things off with the 5-star Light Dragon Gala Thor, the Fulminator. Gala Thor's skill is Thor's Hammer, a 3 charge level skill that hits for up to 1780%, as well as inflicting paralysis. The skill is charged by tapping the screen 9 times during its wind-up. Gala Thor's first ability is Chariot Rider, granting light units 50% strength. The user's energy level increases by 1 stage every 5 seconds, and the user also gains additional strength scaling from 25 to 45% for each level of energy. Gala Thor's second ability is Thunderbringer. When equipped by a light adventurer, the whole team is energized when the shapeshift is undone. So Thor ends up improving on the power level of light overall, peaking at a maximum 95% strength bonus at full energy. The gradual energy charge ability also shores up the otherwise lackluster mechanic and allows all units to gradually approach Thor's maximum power. Naturally, light units with their own energy generation will be able to ramp up faster, as well as being able to re-energize sooner after consuming their energized buff. Gala Thor also has a unique continuous attack string. Thor's dragon form and skill deal a sizable amount of damage. In order to maximize this, you should be near full energy as you transform, leaving the dragon skill as late as possible to be able to instantly re-energize as the shapeshift is undone, in order to maximize energy levels over time. Next on the showcase, but not limited otherwise, we have the 5-star Shadow Dagger Nevin, the Wing of Revelation. It's a bit complicated, so we'll start with Nevin's first ability, which is Ramiel's Covenant. Nevin starts with the Locked Sigil debuff, lasting for 5 minutes and granting Nevin a unique non-damaging Force Strike that heals him while it charges. Transforming will reduce the debuff duration by 4 minutes. After the debuff wears off, Nevin gains the Sigil Released buff, powering up his skills and allowing him to summon Revelation Swords at the end of the standard dagger combo in exchange for 10% of his hit points. The swords last for 12 seconds and will automatically attack enemies for the duration. Nevin's first skill is Victorious Strategy, which is a 10-second buff zone buffing the strength of shadow adventurers inside by 25%. With Sigil released, it also reduces light damage taken by 20%. Nevin's second skill is Magnus Apocalypse, which deals a single hit of 1000% of damage and reduces the duration of Locked Sigil by 60 seconds if it connects. With Sigil released, it deals additional hits to enemies equal to the number of buff zones they're standing in. The extra hits deal 300% for Nevin's buff zones, or 100% otherwise. Magnus Apocalypse is shareable for 6 skill share points, and always uses the Sigil released variant when shared. Nevin has the standard Dagger critical rate co-ability, and for his chain co-ability he grants shadow units 10% light resist at 10 combo or higher. In terms of his other abilities, he also has blindness resist and plus 20% critical damage modifier. So Nevin's access to a moderately quick buff zone will likely be a major contributor to his overall team DPS. I feel like his second skill deals fairly tame levels of damage compared to the raw destructive power we see in other shadow units. Overall, his role seems to be a slightly more offensively focused pattier, though with some positioning limitations. His buff being zone based makes him a bit awkward to use in Master Cayenne, and the general lack of Gala Clear in the fight will also limit his potential. Not to mention his lack of native Dispel utility, which is highly valued. I don't think Nevin will be making any meta-breaking waves by himself, but on paper he should simulate fairly well within the Shadow roster. Just keep in mind that the overall mechanics of Shadow-oriented endgame fights will not treat him kindly. Next on the showcase we have the 5-star Water Bow, Pinon, the Wing of Purity. Much like Nevin, her first ability is kinda complicated, so we'll start with that. Pinon's first ability is Gabriel's Covenant. Much like Nevin, Pinon starts quests with the Locked Sigil debuff. She also has a unique, slower 2 charge level Force Strike. The fully charged Force Strike deals extra damage to frostbitten foes and reduces the duration of Locked Sigil by 13 seconds when it connects. Removing the debuff grants Pinon's Sigil Released, adding additional attacks to the standard combo. These attacks restore a portion of the damage dealt as hit points and have a 40% chance of increasing Pinon's energy level. Pinon's first skill is Sanctus Arrow, which deals 1210% damage to enemies in a line, and inflicts frostbite. It's shareable for 5 skill share points. Pinon's second skill is Soul Benediction, granting Pinon Gabriel's Blessing for 20 seconds. This buff increases her strength and defense by 20%, and nullifies attacks that deal less than 15% of Pinon's maximum hit points. The buff is lost when she's attacked, even if the damage is nullified, so be sure to position appropriately. Being a bow unit, she has the standard skill haste co-ability, and for a chain co-ability she grants water units 6% flame resist at 80% hit points or above. Anyway, in terms of other abilities, Pinon has burn resist and 20% attack rate at 70% hit points or above. So Pinon seems to have what I'd call a turret playstyle, emphasizing minimal movement in order to maximize the number of hits from her unique combo extender. Her self buffs being conditional on not taking hits makes her moderately awkward to use against expert Iha Notaher, not to mention that she probably won't disrupt the popularity of Karina compositions in that fight. Ignoring the Karina composition and its violent maelstrom of synergies, Pinon is otherwise well equipped to pump out damage in a vacuum since her unique combo extender deals 1060% damage per hit. I think she is capable of comfortably clearing current content, and she could see some use against the twins in non-Karina rooms. I also think that she'll do decently well against Hybrid and Hilda, at least, but the relevance of that content is questionable once players have a solid foothold in Agito content. And the final addition with the showcase is the 5-star Shadow Dragon Ramiel, the Angelic Herald. Ramiel's skill is Angelic Declaration, dealing 2 hits of damage totaling around 800%, inflicting poison and reducing the enemy's defense by 20% for 15 seconds. It also immediately readies the user's second skill for use, and gradually fills the skill gauges of the user's first and second skills by 1.5%, every 2 seconds for 90 seconds. Ramiel's ability grants shadow units 60% strength and 50% shapeshift prep. So Ramiel seems to be literally tailor-made for Nevin, which is lore appropriate. The 20% defense reduction with this skill can be a sizable contribution to team DPS, but in the overall meta, I don't think Ramiel quite stands up to the sheer raw power offered by Shinobi and Cat Shi. That's really all I can say about him. He's pretty lackluster, I think, outside of being essentially a Nevin enabler. Anyway, while not part of the showcase, we also have some Wyrmprints added alongside the update. The 5-star Wyrmprint added is a day in her life, granting energy double buff and 50% force strike damage. I feel like the energy double buff on this print leans this more towards water and shadow, where defense buffs are more prevalent in the meta. Out of that pool of adventurers, only Xander immediately stands out as someone with a particular preference towards force strikes. I feel like the main use for this print is the marginal benefit of energy double buff on a Wyrmprint that isn't tailored towards axes, since force strikes are very often a tiny proportion of an adventurer's overall damage. I guess the force strike damage might also buff Julietta's post-spiral force strike, but it seems unwise to swap out skill damage or affliction punisher for such a specific part of her kit. The 4-star print added is Treasury of Knowledge, granting 20% sleeping punisher and 50% blindness resist. So sleep is a really rare status to inflict, and the blindness resist nudges this print towards shadow adventurers. Sleep doesn't really occur often enough to warrant using this print over a poison punisher print for shadow adventurers, so I really can't recommend this. My overall verdict on the showcase is that for players seeking to push power levels, I think only Thor is worth pulling for. Nevin, Pinon and Ramiel don't immediately strike me as meta changing, but as always, pull for characters if you like them, not if some random person on the internet is telling you to. In the end, as I've always said, I'm not your boss, do what you want. Pinon might not be as broken as a Karina Fest, but she is a girl in a coatee. Anyway, that is about it in terms of my no fluff analysis. Thank you if you've watched all the way until the end, and maybe considering joining the No Fluff Club community Discord, and the link will be in the description. As always, take it easy, stay safe, and I wish you luck in your upcoming polls. Or maybe in the polls you've already done. I guess this No Fluff analysis is slightly late compared to usual, huh? Overall, there's more videos on the way, so take it easy and I'll catch you in the next one.